Halloween.
Forever.
All right, Steve. Okay. Picture this. A sadist, a masochist, a murderer, a necrophile, and a zoophile, and a pyromaniac. Okay. They're all sitting in the courtyard of a mental hospital. Okay. And the zoophile says, boy, I wish I could have sex with a cat right now. And the sadist says, oh, that sounds pretty good. I wish I could have sex with a cat and torture it. And then the murderer says, yeah, guys, that sounds great. But what if we had sex with a cat and then we tortured it and then we killed it? And then the necrophile says, hold on a second, guys. Let's have sex with the cat, torture it, kill it, then have sex with it again. And then the pyromaniac says, guys, I got you all beat. I say we have sex with the cat, we torture it, we kill it, we have sex with it again, and then we set it on fire. And then they all look over at the silent masochist at the end of the bench. And he goes, oh, meow.
Damn. I was going to say, can I do the punchline? Because I know the punchline.
Okay. Welcome, boys and ghouls, to a very fucking stupid episode of Halloween's Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve.
Was trying to think of a torture. A sadomasochist joke. That's the only one that I could find. It's an old street joke. Heard that one many a times, but had to get something because we're talking about this fucking movie, which I'll say it to you, it's a fucking drag. A lot of torture, a lot of weird sadomasochistic bullshit. We have what I'm going to go as far as to say iconic scene, and then the rest of it's real dog shit. So I just need to get something relevant there.
It's a bummer and a stinker, but also just like it has, like you said,
it has its moments.
Has its moments, but it's also just badly made. It's like, it really feels like just like somebody. So the movie's from 2009. So obviously this person was absolutely biting off Eli Roth at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And also because it's 2009, they couldn't not make it a found footage film.
It doesn't make sense that it's a found footage film.
Not
it's
at
got
all.
The worst sound design of any movie I've ever seen with notable actors in it. It's called Penance from 2009, guys. You might be saying, why the fuck are you watching this movie? Here's why. One of our patrons over on the Patreon suggested this movie to us, actually, as something we could potentially watch during our Patreon exclusive podcast, Youth Group is Forever. But then Steve watched it and was like, hey, it's not really necessarily what we're looking for there, but it does have the religious themes and all that type of stuff. So we decided to do a mini-sode for it. Steve, remind me, you already told me once, remind me which of our Patreon supporters suggested this one.
Yeah, so this comes from our patron supporter, Shiggles. And she suggested this before we had started even doing Youth Group Forever. So I don't think she wasn't. It wasn't fair for her to know exactly what we were looking for Youth Group is Forever. But she, gave us this movie and it's bad. And now we've had the time to do it. And like, as a patron, I still want to do her the grace of like, hey, let's watch this shit ass movie and talk about it because, we got this extra Monday here in July. So let's dog on this piece of garbage.
We have an extra Monday with which to shoot ourselves in the face with this movie, guys. We'll talk about it a little bit. I do want to tease that I watched it last night with Kate, my wife, and she was like kind of half paying attention, half playing on her phone. And she was like, what the fuck is this? It's just going to turn into softcore porn. I was like, I honestly don't know. And then she's like, all right, fuck this. I'm going to bed. She was like, tell me what happens. And then it got bonkers. And then I started texting her while she was in bed what was happening. She was like, Jesus Christ, what happened in this movie? And I was like, I went off the rails. I don't want to spoil it because, listen, I would not suggest you watch it. But there is one particular scene that was very memorable that I did not see coming. And we will talk about it at great length. But we got some stuff we got to do at the fucking top of the show like we always do. If you want to be part of our kind of group of lovely supporters of the Halloween is Forever podcast. You can do it a variety of ways. First thing I would say is go over and follow us on the social media at Halloween is Forever on Instagram, at Hallow Forever on Twitter /X, Halloween is Forever on Facebook, all the different things. Search Halloween is Forever. You'll find us. You can follow us for some spooky ooky shit over there. And then go and, follow us or like or subscribe or do whatever the fuck you do on your Podcatcher app, on your Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Go on over there so you'll get notifications when new episodes come out. Every single sticky, sweet morsel of content hits you on every single Monday. And then if you are part of our Patreon crew, if you support us on Patreon, at patreon.com/HalloweensForever, you get a bonus podcast every single month. We're doing a little podcast series. Steve, tell them about how this Patreon business works over there.
Yeah, so we do an exclusive podcast series, and it changes probably almost every year. We already did Family is Forever, which is our Fast and Furious podcast, and I already mentioned we're doing Youth Group is Forever now, which is our look into Christian horror. And so this month we'll be talking about The Burning Hell, which is boy, what is that a thing? That is just like
it's a whole ass thing, isn't it?
It's a whole ass thing, and like apparently, in doing research,
did you hear hell is real and that is forever? Have you heard that before?
I heard that part.
It couldn't be more on brand. It is the episode. I'm sorry, the movie. I'll call it a movie. It really should be called just Hell is Forever.
Yeah, it should
Which
be
sounds
called
like
Hell is
maybe
Forever.
What we could have called the Patreon exclusive podcast.
Yes, but did you also hear like how like Nicholas Winding Refn, that up his own ass Nordic filmmaker who worked with Ryan Gosling a lot?
Oh no,
you know who I'm talking about even?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. He made that movie Only God Forgives, and it's about like
okay.
Yeah, okay. Apparently he has his own streaming service. That's how up his own ass he is. He has his own streaming service.
Okay.
And on that streaming service, he has like just a bunch of old films that he has some weird affinity for, but he restored The Burning Hell as part of that.
Mm.
Okay. And you can rent The Burning Hell for $2 for a 2018 restoration version.
Here's what I would do. Don't do that. Watch on YouTube like I did for free.
Right. Exactly.
It's not worth paying any amount of money for. In fact, I would strongly suggest in lieu of paying $2, go donate that $2 or $2 monthly to some sort of charity or legal trust that's going to prevent weird fucking psychotic Christian nationalists from putting prayer back in schools or something like that.
Yeah, you can always send $2 to Planned Parenthood. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's also a good option always too. Yeah. This is we talk about a new a new episode every month where typically it's some sort of weird, not only Christian horror, but like actual Christian propaganda as well. And we talk about what you're going to go to hell for. So we went to hell for a bunch of things. We went to hell for not liking our grandma's cooking. We went to hell for being into crystals. We went to hell for, what did we go to hell for last time? A whole variety of things, but mostly porn.
Mm-hmm.
And then this time we're going to hell for not believing in hell. It's like really meta and I love it so much. So looking forward to that one. If you want to listen to it, you also get a bunch of other stuff. You get Steve doing some reviews and recos. You get to join us here with some of our friends in the old Discord live as we record our episodes, which is always fun. You also, every damn month, we do a showdown episode in the first of every month. In addition to suggesting topics and that sort of thing, our Patreon subscribers actually get to throw their movie in the hat and get it chosen off the old spinny wheel to be our Patreon pick for that month. So on the showdown episode, we pick a topic, comes from a big old spinny ass wheel of about a bajillion topics. Once we have one, I pick one, Steve picks one, and then our Patreon subscribers collectively pick one. And then we show it down. We DDT people onto steel chairs. Somebody's going to get a Hurricane Rana, and ultimately you're going to end up with one champion that's going to reign supreme for that motherfucking month. Take home that some bitch championship strap. So our August Showdown episode, which will be this coming Monday, if you're listening to this episode the Monday it comes out, this has just come out, the next Monday, the first Monday in August, that will be our Showdown episode for August. And our topic, we decided on a number of weeks back, or the spinning ass wheel, picked 3 of them. We put it on the social medias. Y'all voted, and you voted for Blood Beach. So we're talking about movies that take place on, near, in accordance with beach traditions. And it's got to be one of them scary old spooky horror movies. So beach horror, right? Mm-hmm. We already revealed to you that our patrons, our Patreon subscriber friends, chose a movie from 2015 called The Sand, aka Blood Sand, which could not be more on topic for Blood Beach, Blood Sand. That's literally the main thing. There's 2 things that need to occur to have a Blood Beach: blood sand, blood water.
Yep.
You got one of them. You got to have blood sand. So that's an essential part of the Blood Beach. Now, Steven and I get to pick. Remind me, Steve, who took home? I think the patrons. Did the patrons take home the? This is our new format. This is the first month we're doing our new format.
No, you won.
No,
you won last month. You won last month, so you're the champ.
Yes, I am the champ, and we are going to give still the patrons the number 1 pick, which we did, which they picked the sand / blood sand. So I get to pick mine now. I am not that concerned that we are going to be picking the same movie. I might be surprised here, but I'm gonna go with my number 1 pick. I am gonna go with a tasty little film from 1981. Does that tickle your fancy at all? 81? No, okay, it's not going to interrupt your plans. No. Dead and Buried.
Oh.
A little surprising, hey?
Yeah. You said 1980, and I was like, he's picking the mutilator. And then you said 1, and I was like, no, that's 84. Yeah, okay.
No, I'm going with Dead and Buried, starring a bunch of great people, including Jack Albertson, who many of you who grew up around the same time frame as me, or even a decade plus before that, may know as Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But also
that piece of shit,
James Ferrantino. Yeah, that grifter piece of shit. James Ferrantino, Dennis Redfield, a little bit of Robert Englund in there, Nancy Locke, Lisa Blunt. There's a lot of great faces in here, and just an underappreciated, creepy, fun, wacky ass horror movie that definitely takes place, much of it on a beach, around a beach, in a beach community, from 1981. So that's my pick, Dead and Buried.
Gotcha. Did you mention Lisa Blount?
I did.
Oh, okay, yeah, from Prince of Darkness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of recognizable faces in here. This movie doesn't get a lot of attention. I don't know why. There are certainly some stuff that doesn't hold up particularly well, but so does a fucking whole bunch of movies. But I'm excited to talk about it.
Okay, so I feel a little bit better that I'm gonna go off the beaten path.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I had a whole, I don't know, this one was hard for me to narrow something down.
Mm-hmm.
And so like if you had picked something more popular,
like The Fog, for example, or something.
Yeah, like The Fog, or if you were like a real dickhead and tried to pass Creepshow off, that would have been an argument. But
wait, you're talking about maybe how would I have passed Creepshow off? That's not really much in the way of. I mean, The Raft, maybe.
No, the first
Creepshow 2.
No, Creepshow 1. Creepshow 1, where Leslie Nielsen buries Ted Danson.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking that was 2. I get the vignettes from Creepshow 1 and Creepshow 2 mixed up a lot.
Yeah.
I immediately thought of The Raft. I was like, yeah, that would have been a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. I mean, but either or, there would have been an argument. And it's like, well, you can only take that piece of the anthology. You can't have the rest of it. But
yeah.
So I had a whole bunch of stuff. And I was thinking, like, if you pick something more popular, I might have just gone The Lighthouse just for name recognition alone. But that's not where we're at. So I'm going to do something a little fun, a little different.
A little saucy.
And I'm going to go all the way to the year 2004.
Okay.
A little story about Coconut Pete's Coconut Beach Resort.
Oh, this was on my list. I love this movie.
I'm going to go in Club Dread, baby.
This movie is so underappreciated. I actually had it on my list. I have this movie on DVD. I am a big Broken Lizard guy. I love Beer Fest is one of the most and not just because I'm a beer guy. We watched 1,000 times in college. It's so stupid. It's so quotable.
Yep.
Obviously, Super Troopers, fantastic. People know those. Super Troopers 2 is pretty damn funny too. But people just started talking about Slammin' Salmon. Like I feel like in the last few years. Yeah. It's funny too. But Club Dread is fucking hilarious. If you like, what's the Edgar Wright one with the cops?
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz. If you like Hot Fuzz, you will like Club Dread.
Yeah.
Little sillier, little a little more, I would say. A little
more slapsticky.
Sophomoric humor. Yeah, maybe. But it's really, really fun. So,
but undeniable because it has, again, it's the thing that like the Broken Lizard films always did great with is they always had a big name. So like you're talking Slammin' Salmon, and Michael Clark Duncan is so fucking hilarious in that movie.
He's so funny. He's so funny.
Brian
Dread. Cox.
Yeah, Brian Cox and Super Troopers. And then Club Dread, Bill Paxton.
He's so good.
Rules. Yeah.
He's so fucking funny in it. Oh my God. I'm excited. I would have never thought in a million years you're going to pick that. I considered picking that, but I thought, no, Steve will just fucking rip me a new asshole if I pick a horror comedy as silly as this. But I am glad that you picked it because it is really, really fucking fun.
I used Piranha 3D in one of our showdowns. Of course, I'm open to this one.
But that's like 2/3 horror, 1/3 comedy. Yeah. Club Dread's 2/3 comedy, 1/3 horror.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But anyway, it's still fantastic and you're going to love it. And I will never I'm an unabashed Broken Lizard fan forever and ever. All right. So just to recap, The Sand / Blood Sand from 2015, which apparently I'm the only human on the planet that's never saw. So I'm excited to see that. Dead and Buried from 1981 is mine. And then Club Dread from 2004 is Steven. So check those out this week. And we're going to talk about them on our showdown next Monday for the lovely showdown month of August. Okie dokie. One last thing we got to do before we get into Penance from 2009 is, Steve, you got beer you're sapping on over there or what?
Oh, yeah, I got beers. I need a beer with this one.
Yeah.
But it's a nice beer. I needed something nice and strong and, just wasn't going to let me down.
You need a good old big one or a big old good one?
Yeah, it's a good old big one. Good old big one. Coming in at 9%, the Allagash Triple. Oh, baby, a triple.
Oof, that is such a fucking nice beer. I love it. I love Allagash Triple. I drink it forever. I love Curio. Allagash, they used to be one of the fucking best for big old beers. And, obviously those big old Belgians are not quite as popular as they used to. Still make a hell of a wit, but man, Allagash Triple, don't get much better than that. And I'm saying globally too. I actually think that it stands up to every single Trappist version of the style as well. Like I'm not saying it's as good as West Mall or whatever, but it is absolutely up there with every single other Trappist or old world Belgian version.
Yeah. Like I can easily put that up against like Chimay. That's fine. Like I think.
Oh, easily. I'll take that over Chimay 6 cents every day of the week.
Yeah. Like it's not that I don't like Sing Song. It's not that I don't like Sing Song, but hey, this is good for its own usage. This the Allagash Triple always feels like a good summer big drinker, as someone who puts down like high octane shit all the time. Yeah, like this feels like it can slip into that role of like, oh, maybe I'm not going to drink a stout in 90-degree weather. but I'm still gonna get that 9% in.
I'm gonna get the big boys out. I do that with, and it's not as big, but I do that with Saison du Pont. I was drinking on some Saison du Pont when I was down in Atlanta, actually, a couple of weeks ago.
It's important.
It was bajillion degrees.
Yeah, it's important we get the proper pronunciation in for the French Olympics as they go on. Mm-hmm. So
I know it's. I mean, we're recording this on Friday before it releases. We're going to see the opening ceremony, and we got to be respectful to obviously all of our international listeners out there. Make sure we get the proper pronunciation. Now, Saison du Pont,
Saison du Pont, 500 chemin,
500 chemin, Saison. You can't see me right now. I'm twirling my mustache and I'm smoking a long cigarette.
I have a beret.
Yeah, Steve's wearing a beret. Prove us wrong. Dan, shh, in the chat. Don't say it. All right.
You can only prove us wrong if you jump on the Patreon.
Yeah. So the whole rest of the episode.
Yeah.
I am drinking the Schwarzbier, speaking of international beer styles, the Schwarzbier from our friends over at Burgers Brewing. It's called Puddler. They make a heck of a nice Schwarzbier. The black beer, the Schwarzbier. Yeah, not a big octane guy, but just a real nice, dry, fairly bitter, well-attenuated dark lager beer.
Mm-hmm.
Got that little dry ashiness on the end, but not like overly roasty. Just a little tiny bit of acridness that like really accentuates the dryness of the beer. And like, this is actually a fucking summer crusher.
Yeah.
Jet black summer crusher. Doesn't really sound that appealing to some, but give it a try. I also fucking slug on some Guinness draft in the summertime too.
Yeah.
A nice, cool, low carbonation pint. Like, I'll fuck with that too.
Yeah. Guinness is great for the summer. I haven't had Burgers Schwarzbier yet, but that's a style that did come on pretty strong in Pittsburgh. The people were making some good ones around.
I feel like a lot of people have. Yeah, the Schwarzbier and the Czech dark lagers have been real popular around town, and I love to see it. And there's quite a few good ones as well. So this is my one I drink most often. My brother was in town not that long ago here for the 4th of July. I grabbed a couple 4-packs because he loves this beer too. So we was drinking on them.
Nice.
Okay, guys, let's get into the feature presentation for the week. We are talking about Penance. From 2009, guys, not even rated. Can you fucking believe it? I'll really quickly read the one-line synopsis here on IMDb. A young mother decides to become a stripper to earn some fast cash, only to find her worst nightmares are about to begin. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is directed and written by a gentleman named Jake Kennedy. And the entire time I was watching it and disliking it, I was picturing Jamie Kennedy, and it was making me madder and madder. And I'm not even one of these Jamie Kennedy haters. People hate on Jamie Kennedy. I'm not even one of his haters. He might be the worst stand-up who ever lived, but I'm just saying he's not that bad. But really, I was picturing it, and it was making me mad the entire time that I was watching this movie. He has some directing credits, but he is most known. Let's start with his director credits because he wrote and directed this. He has 6 director credits. His last one was in 2012. Fangoria Blood Drive 2, which apparently was a anthology from 2005. He directed a segment called We All Fall Down. And I've never seen anything else here. He has 3 director credits for features in 2007, 2009, and 2012. Days of Darkness, Penance, which we're about to talk about, and only 2. The other one is a video. So a couple videos, a couple shorts, and the 2 feature-length directing credits. Not surprising that his directorial career didn't necessarily go on super far beyond this.
Sick.
But he does.
This Blood Drive too. It has Mistress Julia, and I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody remembers her from the Canadian VH1. What was that? Fuse TV. She was the OG hot goth girlfriend that you wanted because she was the like VJ for Fuse. She was like, "Here comes Lamb of God, hot, hot, hot," and then you're like, "Fuck yeah, dude!"
And then you're like, "Fuck yeah, dude!" But really, was it Canadian? I didn't realize it was Canadian.
Yeah, Fuse. Yeah, Fuse was Canadian when it originally started up, and then I think it was eventually just straight up bought by VH1, and then just killed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, didn't it have like some gaming content early on too, and stuff like that? Am I remembering that correctly? Or am I getting two things mixed up?
Might have been. Yeah.
Anyway, mostly we're talking about writers and writing. You know, he wrote some stories that were and got writing credit for various films here. Nothing I am familiar with, to be honest with you. Most of the movies that he had directing credits on, he also is a writer for. So just not a huge. He was in the art department for Mission Impossible 2. I think that's probably his biggest claim to fame. And then he was a writer on We All Fall Down, that short from 2005, which apparently got some good reviews, critically acclaimed to a certain extent, I guess. Anyway, don't know anything about him. Just wanted to call out that I was thinking about Jamie Kennedy the entire time. There are a few not memorable, but I would say recognizable faces on here. The thing that sucked us in a little bit was one Mr. Michael Rooker, plays a character, and I thought he was going to be the big bad. He's not. He is a adjacent bad guy that barely shows up.
I was shocked. I was shocked when he gave up the gun to that other guy and then walked off screen. I was like, wait, what? Was that now?
Because the whole movie, when he first comes in at the beginning, it's like a big entrance, and you're like, wow, and he's chewing the scenery. He's doing a great job. He's really leaning into this sadistic character. And then he goes away and doesn't come back to the end of the movie. So, yeah, a little bait and switch there. We didn't get much Michael Rooker. Everybody probably knows him from Guardians of the Galaxy and everything. We genre fans love him for a lot of reasons. Probably a lot of people know him from The Walking Dead, early seasons of The Walking Dead. But two of my absolute all-time most affecting horror movies, frankly, is Slither, which is one of the grossest movies ever fucking made. And Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is one of the most disturbing movies ever made. Yep. So Rooker fucking goes big, and we all know that. So we got bait and switched on that a little bit. It stars one Miss Maria Delfino, who I know her face, and I don't know what I know it from. So let's take a peeky at what she is all about. Oh, she was in The Invitation. Definitely remember that. That was a good one from a handful of years ago. Mm-hmm. She was in Jeepers Creepers 2. She's got quite a good amount of credits. She's in The Womb this year. Zombie. BAE. That sounds lovely. I've not gotten involved in that one yet. But yeah, quite a few, I'll say middle of the road to a couple of notable acting credits, and really mostly genre related from what I can see. Mm-hmm. And then the other kind of big recognizable person I think that you'll probably recognize is Graham McTavish, who I did not realize his character name is Jeeves. Is it Jeeves? I think it's Jeeves. It's like Jeeves in a way. It's Jeeves, because they say they say it at the very end. There's there's an epilogue to the film. Yeah. It's just cares. Oh, we'll talk about it. It's cringy as fuck. He is in a million things. I mean, he's people probably know him. He was on had a decent run on House of the Dragon. He was in a bunch of the Hobbit movies. He was in The Witcher. He did a voice in The Witcher.
Yeah, he does. He did a voice. He has a huge list of video games that he does.
Castlevania the anime that came out a few years ago is awesome. He was in that. He's got an absolute shitload of. He was in Aquaman, shitload of credits. Very recognizable guy, as you said. Tons of voice. He has a really deep, foreboding British voice as well. So he obviously gets a ton of voice work also, but very recognizable face. You know him for sure. And I'll tell you what, good on him, because he gave it his all in this movie. But it was the script, the dialogue, the production, everything's fucking hot garbage. But he has one scene that seals the entire show. So we'll talk about it. Yeah. Anybody else notable that you want to call out? Oh, Tony Todd shows up for 0.1 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say the literal shortest Tony Todd appearance I have ever seen in a film.
But the tallest as well.
But also the tallest.
So
I've seen so many like Tony Todd films because I like him. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
And he's legitimately throws himself into almost every role. This one he couldn't because he has like 3 lines, I think. It's like it's fucking whatever. But like there's a movie where he showed up at the very beginning and he's only in the opening, and I just wanted to see if I could try to figure out the name of that real quick. And like Kane Hodder is like a big star in it as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just a movie where like at the very beginning, Tony Todd shows up and he like delivers like this kind of like really affecting performance. And then you never see him again.
This sounds very familiar. I think I've seen this movie they were talking about, where he just shows up at the beginning for 2 seconds. Robert Englund does that, at times too, where he's just like, it's almost like a quick cameo and that's it.
Right. Yeah. But it's like, they always like give their best. And it's like, well, why don't we see these guys more? Because they're always, just hammering it home and it rules. But yeah, I don't know.
Because these guys said, we'll pay you and you only have to show up for 45 minutes. And they're like, all right.
Yeah, right.
There is one other person I'll call out because he was very recognizable to me. And I did have to look him up and go, where the hell do I know him from? Lachlan Monroe.
Oh, yeah.
He is in, he plays the one cop, Deputy Scott Stubbs in Freddy vs. Jason. Mm-hmm. He also plays Greg and has some pretty memorable scenes in Scary Movie, the original Scary Movie. Apparently he's in White Chicks as well and Night at the Roxbury, but he has 286 acting credits. So he is in everything. He just this year, he's in a shitload of stuff. He was one episode. He plays a cop and a jock a lot. Like he played a cop. He played a cop in one episode of Reacher. He played a jock in one episode of Creep Show. He plays he's like an almost cartoonishly handsome guy with like a big square jaw. So he just plays like douchey cop, douchey jock, pretty much exclusively.
Yeah. He anytime he appears on screen, and this is like just a real personal me thing, he like takes me out of every performance he has because anytime he appears on screen, I remember the first time I saw him, and it was in a film called Dead Man on Campus. I don't know if you remember this one.
I've seen, I don't know if I've watched it, but I'm familiar with this movie.
Okay. It stars one Mark Paul, Zach Morris Gosselaar. And it's about 2 guys who go to college and they find a loophole in college that if the roommate dies, then they get all A's.
Yes. Didn't they do this on Red Letter Media?
They might have. I don't know.
Maybe, or one of those shows like that. I feel like I watched something about it on one of those.
They might have. But I saw this movie when it originally came out, and Lachlan Monroe plays a douchey frat bro named Cliff. And his like first introductory scene is just him getting in the face of Mark Paul Gosselaar and the friend who's a nerd, and he's just in his face, and he starts doing this rap, and he's like, "Ooh, my name is Cliff, brother of Joe. Got me some crack, need me some hoe." And he just like gets in their face, and then he just starts putting his hands up, and he's like, "Say yeah." And so anytime I see Lachlan Monroe doing anything or trying to be serious, my brain just automatically goes, "My name is Cliff." And I'm like, no, not this time.
No, not. What's that scene from? What is it? Is it Wayne's World or something where he's like, or no, it's PCU, where he's like, "No, not now." And he just falls down and starts like shaking and stuffs a bunch of grass in his mouth.
Yeah.
He's also, as you might expect, cartoonishly handsome goofball. He's in a bunch of Hallmark Christmas movies and Hallmark adjacent Christmas movies too. So, anyway, I think that's the only people that are really, really notable. Unless you got anybody else you want to talk about here. Nobody else is jumping out at me too hard.
Nope.
All right. So this movie, I will say, is essentially shock value. Like you said, it's very much biting on Eli Roth films of the aughts and early 2010s. And if it could be any more 2009, they decide to make it, against all odds, a found footage movie, which we'll talk about how this makes no sense as a found footage movie. This was one of those necessity plays where it was like, we're going to do a bad job, so let's make it a found footage movie, because then that kind of makes sense that it's bad and the audio's bad and everything's bad production wise. But it doesn't make sense that it is, because there's no one person that walks around with a camera. There's times where it's inexplicable that somebody would have a camera. There's times where multiple people have multiple cameras, but it all ended up in the same bit of found footage somehow. Makes me want to die.
Yeah, there was one scene that made me think, oh, this whole film was built around this scene.
Mm-hmm.
But then that scene wasn't, when that scene ended, I was like, oh wait, that scene wasn't good enough to build a whole film around. So why is this found footage? And then it's just 2009. It's the only way they could sell it. It's just like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's jump into the story a little bit here. I will say in this movie and in the grand pantheon of dog shit movies we have, exposed ourselves to over the several years we've been doing this podcast, there are a few movies that are feature length that we've talked about where less happens. Almost nothing happens in this movie.
Yeah.
It's wild. You start out, I'll set it up. We have Amelia, and she's having a whole ordeal. You don't really know why things are so hard for her yet, but she's got a whole ordeal, and she's just talking into a camera. She's clearly making some sort of audition tape for a reality TV show. This in 2009 would have been before people widely understood with exact certainty that all reality TV is 100% scripted, and people still thought it was a viable option to send in audition tapes, you were going to get on the show, they picked regular people. So that's what she's doing. And the whole thing is things are hard for her. She's a single mom. She's got a kid that's got I don't know, shithead disease, something. They don't really say what it is. If they say something, I don't know. And she ain't got no money. She works at a battered women's shelter. Her kid needs a butt transplant or something. I don't fucking know. And
her kid's got dum-dumitis.
Yeah. And she's just looking down the camera, and she's just like, you got to give me the money. I need to be on the show and get the money. I need a life makeover or whatever. And she's being recorded by Will, who is her videographer, who, I guess has the hots for her, but Will almost isn't a character, so that never really comes up. Mm-hmm. But Will's following her around, recording her, and this is going to be their submission tape for ultimate life makeover or some shit. At the beginning, I wrote, so I don't know. I was just feeling froggy last night. I wrote down my first note: found footage. Amelia has had an ordeal and she's begging me to come. That's what I wrote on my first note. Because she's all beat up and sweaty, and she's like, what the fuck? This is the fucking worst ordeal of my life, blah, blah, blah. And she won't really say what the hell happened. Then we go back to back before, where she's shooting the dumb video at home, and she says she's 24. Guys, she ain't 24. No. And they're talking about wanting to be on the thing because she needs the money, because she's she works at a battered women's shelter, and just her daughter has a thing.
They literally pull every cheap heartstring they can. She's an infinitely good person, and her kid has dum-dumitis, and she has no money, and she apparently has no dad or father or husband or any male figures in her life to help at all. She's alone in all of this. She only has a cameraman who essentially just is a floating drone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's basically the eyeball. Actually, he talks less than the floating eyeball in Dinosaur Hotel. But so this is a great and valid question, which makes me have somewhat less sympathy for her. Is why is reality TV her replacement for making sure her sick kid has insurance? Like, I get it. Some people, some people don't have insurance. I get it. Whatever. You made this career decision to work at this place and all that stuff. Maybe she had a hard time finding a job. Maybe, but she made it sound like it's really her calling, and that's why she's doing it. But you have a child. You're not just taking care of yourself. You have a child, and your child has dum-dumitis. Maybe get a job. Like, you can work at Wendy's and get insurance. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you should do that. But whatever. Listen, I'm not here to sound like fucking. I realized that phrase or that whole rant there sounded very fucking bootstrap. Pick up your bootstraps, which is not what I meant to sound like. But it really does seem like she's being like mildly irresponsible.
No, it's one thing to say, hey, like you're not doing your best and you're not living up to the country's ideals. And then
work harder.
And then there's another thing to just make fucking bad decisions of gambling. Because that's what she's doing. She's gambling that she's going to get this role. Like, don't gamble on the future, especially when you're gambling with somebody else's life. That's bad.
Yeah,
that's bad.
Yeah,
we can say that's
it's a bad decision. Yeah, and I'm not. I firmly believe this is a terrible decision. But the way I said it just made me sound like somebody's uncle. Anyway, it's a bad plan. So her friend says, you know what, if you need to make a couple quick dollars, she gives her at least a real plan, which is to be a stripper. Because she's like, hey, you're hot. You got big boobs. You got a nice butt. You could be a stripper. And she's very anti being a stripper. But compared to her friends, amongst all of her stripper friends, there are no butts to be found. So compared to them, she's got a full on butt. So she's going to be raking in the cash. But the one thing that's kind of interesting is it's not like she's like, hey, I work at this club, right, on Saturday nights, and maybe you can get a Wednesday night shift because you're a beginner or something like that. No, she's like, let's go straight to creepy solo parties at private residences where we definitely get assaulted on the regular.
Yeah.
And acts like it's very normal and very just, she literally is like, it's an occupational hazard to have to get assaulted. She does at one point get assaulted. They start out by somebody, a dude, which we'll talk about in a sec, like full on attempting raping her, and her friend has to save her. And they're just like, yeah, it's just part of the job. But then later on, they're like, you're not dancing at some slimy strip club. And I'm like, I think that controlled environment sounds a lot better than the chaos you're throwing yourself into.
Yeah. I had major issues with the way this was portrayed. And either like Sassy, her friend, is really stupid and irresponsible, and is like signing her friend up to also be stupid and irresponsible. But then it because it happens also later on in the film, this just doesn't happen. Anytime you have strippers come out to a place, they almost always have a guy with a gun with them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so Kate was watching this part with me and she was like, is this what it's like to like have a stripper at a party? I was like, first of all, I've never seen a stripper in anywhere but a strip club. And if you even had the inkling in the back of your brain that you might think about doing anything to a dancer, you're getting baseball batted in the head like at a strip club. Yeah. Second of all, I've never been to an off-site part. I feel like that's a thing that only happens in like sitcoms and movies, that like strippers come to your house. I'm sure they would undoubtedly.
I'll
that's
tell you
a business.
Story. Yeah, I'll tell you a story of like my friend was having a bachelor party. Well, he wasn't even my friend, actually. It was a friend of a friend was having a bachelor party. And, my friend told me like, hey, we're getting a bunch of guys together. We're going to rent a hotel downtown. And then there's a number of disreputable establishments in the Western PA area that you can do out calls for and have women come dance for you. So yeah, we hired 2 women. They came to the hotel room. They do dances. They do fun little games, and then they end it all with a double dong dildo show in the in the bedroom. But the entire time, there is a guy who is the size of me with a gun.
Yeah.
So you just don't fuck around because there's a guy with a gun.
So so that's interesting. I am a connoisseur of weird, skeezy degenerate stuff like that. I find it very interesting. I like it. I've never been a strip club guy. They just kind of make me feel uncomfortable. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm too cool for a strip club. No, they just something about like that environment. I don't know. It's not fun for me. I know there are more fun strip clubs you can go. Like people talk about like the strip club culture in Atlanta is like really fun. There's like great food and, really, really fun show they put on all that stuff. I can imagine like going to like a burlesque show or something like that would be fun. Right. But like the scenario that you just played out where it's like bunch of dudes, sweaty dudes, going to go in one hotel room, try to, I don't know, get horny.
Yeah.
And then feel threatened by a giant guy with a gun. Like what? Why? Unless that is literally your kink, which is fine. What is fun or sexy or either one of those about that situation? I guess I know it's a matter of personal preference, but
sure. Yeah. Like I said, this wasn't my idea. So
Let me be clear. This wasn't my idea.
Yeah, it wasn't my idea. I was just participating. And, I was, it was a curious thing. It was a curious adventure in my 20s to see, what goes on with that. Because I had been to strip clubs and I go, strip clubs are okay. I only go to like a certain number of them. I haven't been to one in probably 15 years, maybe.
Yeah, same.
It's just like, at the time I was like, oh, okay, well, what happens when they come to the room? And then, like I said, they do like fun, silly games. Like they'll
pick up marshmallows with their butt cheeks.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah. they do like weird candy stuff. If you give them $20, they'll like put the $20 over your dick and then suck the $20 off your dick. And then,
so dicks are coming out.
Yeah. Dicks are coming out, which is weird because then you wind up seeing your friends' dicks. It is by far the skeeviest, most unpleasant, like sex experience that you can have. Yeah. It is not cool. I don't like if there are dudes who super enjoy this the way the guys in this movie enjoy this. They also just have like latent homo feelings for their friends.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I definitely have friends who always wanted to go to the strip club, and I think that it's just like as close to they were going to get of boning their friends, and they just weren't willing to come out of the closet. So yeah, okay, fine. But yeah, that's what I would say. It's like this whole thing seems, it's just not my cup of tea. I'm going to reserve judgment. I'm not trying to judge. It's not my cup of tea.
It's definitely a thing for sad dudes to do is what I'll say.
It seems sad. Yes. Yeah. Agree. That's why I didn't want to pass that amount of judgment there, but it seems like it seems like you're not in a great spot when you're doing this stuff.
No, because you're either in your 20s when you have like literally no money and you're pooling. Like I remember it was like laid upon me and 2 of my other friends. And one of my friends was like an engineer who worked at the nuke plant. So he was making 6 figures really early in life. And then like, just a couple of us were only making some money at the time and everybody else was like poor. And so everybody was pooling money and like, we couldn't get like 3 girls. We could only get 2 girls. And like, so it's poor guys in their 20s just trying to see fucked up stuff or really, really sad dudes who have like a lot of money and they can probably pay enough extra to like have sex with the girls, which is the other side of this is like, it is for sure a way to introduce prostitution at some point.
Yeah.
You just have to have the money.
Yeah, this makes sense because one, I think I probably wasn't thinking of it from the perspective of like a 23-year-old who's just looking to have some wacky life experiences, but also sad, 40-plus-year-old guys who don't have really any outlet by which to spend their money and ultimately are just looking to pay for sex, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is, listen, hey, consenting adults, do your stuff.
It's actually just way less sad if you just get an escort and don't hide it under the guise of I want to party with my bros, and then it turns into, oh well, I guess since she's here, oh guys, I'm so drunk, I don't know what I'm doing with my money and my credit card. Oh no.
Yeah, or just say, hey, buddy, pal, I'd like to see someone suck a $20 bill off your dick. Yeah. Just say it. Maybe he's into it too. So we do get a really fun is not the right word.
No.
Cringy in a funny way, maybe, montage of her of Amelia learning to strip. It's pretty funny. She is clearly has all the skills she needs, but is desperately trying to pretend that she doesn't, and like doesn't know how to act sexy, and like, I don't even know how to walk in high heels. Like, it's just this like cringy, stupid montage, but I was really enjoying it.
It's so funny because like earlier, before she's becoming a stripper, like not to say that she's dressed slutty, but she's dressed pretty normally.
Yeah.
But when she starts this fucking montage, they give her the she's all that frump of like, she hasn't worn glasses up to this point, and she's wearing glasses, and she has like all, like her hair is all ratty and tied up, and she has the sweatsuit and all that shit on. So they have to do this so she has like a place to go and transform into her stripper wear. But it's like, she wasn't dressed like that before. She was just dressed like a normal lady. Why can't you go from normal lady to slutty lady? Like,
nope. Gotta go from Star 2009 right over to stripper. And it really does take 15 seconds. So, yeah. But we see a montage. So we see that transformation.
Which also, this is very hilarious because it's edited. Yeah. Like it's edited,
heavily edited
in a back and forth montage. When you consider everything that comes after it, it's like, who the fuck was like editing this in order and was like, I'm gonna sit here and make a fun montage. Uh-oh.
Yeah, especially with what happens later. No.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, really, you lose the authenticity, the guise of authenticity around the whole found footage concept. Like, it loses its bearings pretty quickly. But you do get this. Well, I think I mentioned it already a little bit, but you get this Amelia going to Sassy, to show her dancing, so you can see what it's like with her dance. This is what she does. She's at a party with a bunch of broy bros drinking out of red Solo cups and stuff. And surprise. Somebody tries to sexually assault her, a fucking creepy ass guy with a ponytail, which I imagine is 75% of the people at these types of parties. But creepy ponytail guy, who apparently hired them, comes in and is just like, nope, we're gonna do some rape here. And then luckily Sassy comes in and blasts him. The acting is, for the most part, hot garbage water throughout the entire movie, with a few exceptions, which we'll talk about. But just to give you some perspective here, it's really bad. So none of this really feels high stakes. None of it really feels particularly threatening. It feels like you're watching a play for the most part. There are apparently strippers who not only specializing, like I said, going to these extremely dangerous situations with nobody else, but also in the most bright, broad daylight. Every single one of these parties is at 3 p.m. It is sun glaring through every window for every one of these encounters. Not just one, it's every one of them. They make So finally she goes, and she's the day of her first dance. She's all concerned. She goes in. It looks like she's going to chicken out, but then she like goes crazy and gets into a real big character with like a British accent and all this stuff. But whatever, she makes some money. Okay, fine. Then Sassy, who her real name's Susie, she gets beat up, and she calls Amelia, and she's got a black eye. Amelia wants to do something, but she doesn't. And Susie just wants to let it slide. Really what she called her for is she's got this big, quote unquote, high profile job. And she can't do it because she's got this black eye. And she says, hey, you're going to make like, what is it? Some significant sum of money for like 3 hours of work. And Amelia's real reluctant, but she ultimately agrees. So she's like, they're going to be here in like 2 hours. You got to get ready. So they get her all ready. She dresses like a cartoon stripper.
Yeah.
Like literally the big like curls, she has a fur coat on, high heels. She's dressed like Betty Boop or something like that. Like it's so over the
or
top.
like when Bugs Bunny would transform into a woman and like basically be a streetwalker is like
big red lipstick. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, anytime you've heard a cartoon that was a boy go, hey, big boy, she's dressed like that.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. So then the doorbell rings and the private driver's here to pick her up. Knock, knock, knock. It's Tony Todd. He picks her up. And it's really funny because they want to portray that he's very tall and scary. So they have it so like whenever she opens the door, he's so tall that she can barely see his face above like the door frame. But the way they shoot it, looks like he has his nose right up against the house. It's so fucking dumb and awkward. It just like completely ruins the effect. But they talk about like this is some sort of really highly secretive thing. It's super private, super exclusive. That's why it pays so much. But Tony Todd, no questions asked, also takes her cameraman. No questions asked. They like the windows in the limo are blacked out. Everything's really shady. Everything's really secret. But yeah, bring the cameraman, of course. They take her to this weird, like what looks like an old like asylum or hospital or something. And there's these other strippers there. And they're also bad actors. Don't worry, in case you're wondering. They're also horrible at acting. They take them out. And this woman comes in, and it's Trunchbull. This Trunchbull from Matilda. Okay.
Yep.
So imagine that. She comes in and she tells them, come with me. We're going to go dance. They make them go out and just dance in like a creepy, dark, like room with no music. And that's it. Just do it for like 30 seconds. And they're like, all right, go fuck off back to your room. Amelia does this whole thing with the fur coat, whatever. Dismisses them all. Goes back. Here's some champagne. They're like, yum, yum, champagne. Glug, 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 glug. Rooker shows up. And he's dressed in like a white suit with like a red like cummerbund and like a red shirt and a red bow tie. And he's just saying dumb shit. He's just saying like speaking in riddles or something.
Yeah. I wasn't sure, like, was he, because I thought I thought he was the main bad guy. And from the description, it's about a preacher or a religious zealot trying to save these women in his own special crazy manner. And I was like, well, he doesn't quite look like he's dressed like a preacher. He kind of looks like he's dressed like a plantation owner. But okay, so I let it go. And then you find out he's not the bad guy anyway. And it's like, well, weird. But the guy who replaces him is dressed like a soldier, which makes even less sense.
He's got like an officer's uniform on. Yeah, it makes no fucking sense at all. And there's no real mention, I think, of him really even having any type of like military. Is he like he's really even no.
No, it's just bad costume picking.
So he's like, hey babies, you ain't going nowhere or whatever. The one stripper threatens him with a champagne bottle. He like cuts himself on the nose on purpose with the champagne bottle to show he's crazy. Obviously, the champagne was drugged, guys. Of course, the champagne's drugged. They all just pass out in a heap. Rooker's name is like Mr. Man, and he calls him, like, you don't talk to the man like that. He keeps making man puns. But again, don't worry. He's really hardly in the movie at all. He pulls a gun on the cameraman and takes his camera and shoots Will, the cameraman, and then is like, hey, Mr. Camera Boy. He just keeps calling him Camera Boy. It's like the lines are so bad, but he's trying real hard. He shoots him, and now he's carrying around the camera. So now Will's gone, but don't worry. Somebody will always pick up the camera and hold it out in front of them.
Yep.
This military guy shows up. The camera's like still on the ground at this point, and it looks like Mr. Man's making this like deal with the military guy. And then the military guy like takes his pistol and just like points it at his own dick. He just puts it literally pointed at his dick in his waistband in the front, like, which is foreshadowing, I guess, potentially.
Yeah.
So
this is the smartest part about this film, because you think, aha, Chekhov's gun, but no, it's Chekhov's genitals.
Yeah, you got the wrong item in this scenario. So, like I said, it's this old psych hospital. And apparently what they're doing is they're just abducting strippers and prostitutes, whatever. And you think at first they're going to turn them into like sex slaves or something, because they're all like, there's a lot of them there. They're all like desperate and in various stages of like disarray. Trunchbull's got this taser. She's really brandishing this taser a lot. Apparently, there's a different girl recording now, because at first I'm like, who's recording? Apparently it's, what's her name? Melinda? Who's the main character's name again? I already forgot. I can't want to say Matilda
Amelia.
now, because
Amelia.
Amelia.
And also, like, the actress's name is Mariah. So it's like Amelia, Mariah, Melinda.
Yeah, how much harder can you make this? So Amelia's like roommate is like recording now, I guess. She's like, what the fuck? You can't keep us here. You know, she's still getting pretty uppity with the Trunchbull. This is one memorable scene in this movie is Trunchbull administers the absolute worst fake slaps ever recorded on camera ever. She misses by conservatively 18 inches, and the slaps, the reaction, everything looks like they tried to make it look bad. But they kept it in.
Yeah. I don't think they had a choice. She's like, they're on a tight schedule, on a tight budget, and they have a whole lot of nothing to film. So just keep everything in that they can so they can reach that runtime.
It was a one take. It was a one take situation. The first take didn't work, but they kept it. There is a very funny line that I did laugh out loud at, where Amelia is thinking that, hey, this is all a case of mistaken identity. I'm filling in for Susie. They must want Susie. And she keeps saying that. And at one point she says, I'm not even supposed to be here.
I have the note, clerk's excuse your way out of peril.
Yeah, she does. It's the clerk's excuse. But she also says, she doesn't even say, I'm not even supposed to be here today. She says, I'm not even supposed to be here, which cracked me up. The military guy starts to explain that she's impure and they're going to torture her to make her pure. Okay, so now we get what's going on here. Don't worry, it doesn't get any deeper than that. They're throwing buckets of water on her and tasing her and shit. So yeah, they're going to purify her or whatever. For some reason, the bad guy picks up the camera and starts making a documentary film about his purpose now.
Yeah.
And has like the Trunchbull lady like interviewing him in his office with the same camera. Also, he's got a rash or something that they never explained.
Yeah, he's like itchy for whatever reason. Graham McTavish is a pretty decent actor. Mm-hmm. His character in this film is all the way all over the place as much as possible. and it sucks. It makes it worse because he is almost practically the star of the film.
Yeah.
We don't spend that much time with the women. We spend a lot of time with him just like pontificating about like purity and that kind of bullshit. And then, but also he does so many weird different things that don't line up into a character. Like you're saying, like he's itchy, but he also like, he gets beat at chess at one point and he's like making a frowny face. And it's like, well, he's going to kill that guy. Like he's supposedly a doctor, but he's also a preacher, but also wears a military uniform for half the time. And then he makes jokes at inappropriate times. But then later we
find out that he's actually an OBGYN.
Right, yeah. It's like, this character is just all the fuck all over the place. I would have appreciated it more if they stuck to just one thing. Like, if they just made him either a psycho doctor or a psycho preacher, and don't give him like weird punchy lines to be like clever with and wink at the camera with. That's crazy. Like, just make him like the fucking doctor in Human Centipede. Like that dude.
Well, I thought that's what he was going to be. Yeah, or I thought he was going to be like, Jigsaw, because he had the rash, and I thought he had some sort of illness and he was dying of an illness or something. But nope, never comes back. So they're doing all the purifier, blah, 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 whatever. She's been there less than 24 hours, and they give her food, and she still acts like she's desperate for it. She grabs the banana and eats it like she hasn't eaten in a week. I think it's been less than 24 hours. So they're really
that potassium up.
Yeah, she must have been cramping. So this is a movie. This is when I came to the realization, because I was like, what kind of movie is this? This is going to be like a torture porn. This is going to be like a woman in prison movie. What is this? And at this point, I realized no matter what genre, what they're going for, this is a stupid movie made by stupid people for other people with, similarly undeveloped brains. Because they're rushing all this desperation. It's not there. It's never earned. It's pitifully bad already. The sound design is horrible.
Awful.
The building is like this echoey place. Some of the people's mics are not picking up at all. Certain characters, you can't hear anything they're saying. And then Tubi didn't have any closed captions. There's no subtitles for this. So tons of dialogue I did not even hear at all.
It's not like you missed anything. You could figure it out because, I mean, they literally tell you everything that they show you as well. Like, at no point do they not just, like, do both things so everybody knows what page you're on. And just because, like, there's nothing happens. After they get out of this scene, or, like, after they start the trials, and, like, they have, like, we have all these trials that we do to people. We test them, or we test their morality. And on the first night, we leave the door unlocked to see if they come out. And so the Trunchbull, like, closes Amelia's door, but she doesn't lock it fully. And then there's somebody with the Trunchbull. And this is one of those lines of dialogue that it was inserted, but also you can barely hear it. Is the person says, remember, leave it sort of halfway open. Don't lock it all the way. It's her first night. Like, it's just that full piece of dialogue that explains everything. It's her first night. Best be sure to leave the door unlocked so she can get to her first trial, because that's what we do here at Trial Women.
Yeah, they spell it out, but they really spoon feed it. This is what I mean in saying that not only is it poorly made, but they are specifically stupid, making it for other stupid people.
Yeah.
Apparently one girl, her roommate, got whipped. We learned that that's a trial. But they also have a camera in the cell.
Yep.
So is it a different camera? Did they use the other camera? I mean, we learn later that it is a different camera because there are two cameras operating simultaneously. But is it supposed to be the closed circuit camera that they took off the wall and started recording themselves with? Because that's not how that works. I just don't know where they were supposed to have gotten this camera from. This other camera.
This camera off the wall. Now it's mobile. It's 2009. Like, honestly, we have Wi-Fi Nest systems.
Yeah. So they leave the door open, like we talked about, and they are like, oh, the door's open, we can escape. But they're very loud about it. They're talking very loud. They're in fact not escaping. They're just talking loudly about how they're about to escape. So they're not exactly cat burglars here.
And then they don't escape. They go to every room with other women, and she's like, hey, I need to see you because I need evidence. I need evidence to show the outside world. It's like, no, you don't. You're the evidence.
And also, what about the fucking camera, bitch?
Yeah. Like, what are you
camera
talking
that
about?
you're making that girl that got whipped carry? Like,
yeah, you have a girl who's whipped. You yourself have testimony that there are women being captured and held. The police generally check that out.
So like I said, there's two cameras. The good guys have one, the bad guys have one, essentially at this point. And they're just wandering the halls for like 10 fucking minutes before they just get caught again. It's pointless. They're just going to rooms and like, you know, hey, what are you guys doing? We're out. Look, we broke out. Like,
yeah. It turns into indoors Blair Witch is what like just drove me up a wall. I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those fucking movies where they wander the halls and nothing fucking happens. And it does.
Well, they're always getting jump scared by hearing them in the adjacent hall and then running away, but the bad guys never hear them. Anyway, they end up whipping Amelia. Don't worry, with her boobs out, because that's the type of movie we got here.
Right.
And it just feels like I said, bad like torture porn, but literal like porn that is about torture, not like for people who just like to watch torture. But she still has the camera. The camera's still on her, so don't worry. She gets back to her room and she's still got her camera and she's showing everyone on the camera, you know, what happened to her when she got whipped. She can pretty much leave her cell whenever she wants now. That's the new rule. There's a lot of first person running and hiding. I would say about 20 minutes of this movie is first person running and hiding.
Yeah.
They do this other trial and she sees them give it to somebody else. One of the other girls, where they offer you money. It's like $150,000 in a briefcase. And I think it's her original cellmate, the one who got whipped. And he's like, you can either take the money and just leave and admit you're still a stripper, or you can say that you're purified or whatever. And that's more valuable than the money. And you can do whatever you want. And, you know, I just want to see if what I did worked or whatever. So this girl goes, fuck you, I'm taking the money. As soon as she stands up to get some money to go to walk away, Rooker pulls out a gun and blasts her. So they said they were going to let her go, but she didn't, obviously. And then this, you know, I was calling him Sarge because he had the fucking military uniform on. Yeah. He like gets on, tells her some stuff about how like she was going to go to heaven with him, but not now.
Not now.
Whatever. Yeah.
And all of this is happening from the perspective of Amelia, who's hiding under a thing. And
with a camera.
And one, it's very clear that they look directly at Amelia a couple times. Like Sarge,
I thought she was caught.
Yeah. Sarge looks directly at her. The stripper like looks at her a few times from the chair, and obviously she dies right in front of Amelia. And then
like a foot away from her.
The dumbest framing of somehow Sarge gets into her ear, gets into the stripper who was just shot, gets into that girl's ear directly in front of Amelia, but doesn't see her. Like it's the worst.
Like a foot away.
Yeah, it's like he would have been able to hear her breathe. He was so fucking close. And it's like, this is stupid. This is also the scene, like just backing up a few minutes to where she makes the makeshift shiv out of the broken glass. This is the scene where I was like, oh, this is the impetus for making the film. They had this cool idea for a first person knifing. And then they built a film around it. But she doesn't knife anybody. So I was like, oh, wait, never mind. Why'd they make this movie?
Yeah, I'm still asking myself that. I wish they wouldn't have. They then take her to like an examination room is what I mean to say. More nothing happens for like a long time. But then they do this like weird like kissing test. I don't really know what that was. And then they partially drug her, but they're like, we got to keep her, you know, partially conscious as well. And the Sarge explains that he's going to die in, what is it, 8 weeks or something like that?
Yeah.
And he thinks he's helping people, like leading up to his death. So this is when I thought he was still sick. And also he's gonna chop her clit off, I think, is the next thing. It's just something not cool is gonna happen, and then he flat out says, like, yeah, we're gonna chop your lady business off.
He calls them her fun bits.
He does.
Like,
he calls her fun bits. He actually turns to and mugs at the camera after he does it. So yeah, he calls it the fun bits. He cuts off like her labia and her clitoris. You don't see it. It's behind him, but you see him like drop little pieces of like latex into like a jar of formaldehyde, and she's screaming and blood everywhere. And it's not realistic even in the slightest bit, but it's wildly unpleasant still. And then afterwards, she's screaming and bleeding, and he turns around, mugs at the camera and says, "Is there a doctor in the house?"
And it's like, what the fuck is this character? Is like, I was fed up.
Yeah. After this point, I'm like, wow, this got like really gruesome. Like I said, you don't see it. You see the after effects of what he has when he puts in the jar, but you don't see her like getting, cut or anything, but it's pretty gruesome. She's screaming, she's bleeding. It's like supposed to be at least pretty harrowing. And then he turns and straight up Bugs Bunny with a carrot cigar in his mouth goes, "Is there a doctor in the house?" I was like, Jesus Christ, guys. He's then got a big jar full of lady parts in his office, like a big bloody jar of like formaldehyde, assuming.
He's got a kombucha shelf is what he has.
He does have a kombucha shelf. It's just full of different lady parts. And then after he like puts them in the jar, but before he goes and flushes them down the toilet, he like smells his fingers. It's really unpleasant.
Yeah.
But then he's like, he basically is saying like, hey, this is unhealthy. Like I'm being impure by keeping my little trophies and sniffing my fingies. So I'm going to flush it all down the toilet. So we get this like extended scene of him dumping a jar of liquid with labia and clitoris clitori on like in the jar, dumping it and flushing it down the toilet.
Yeah. It's
unpleasant.
It's unpleasant. It's unnecessary. It's pointless.
It is pointless, yeah.
It's dumb because it's doing something that is supposed to be shocking, but there isn't anything actually shocking to it because you're not seeing anything. And then it has no like repercussions.
Yeah, it doesn't ever feel like there's any real stakes because she's always fine. She's just like mad afterwards.
Yeah.
She's just like perturbed. Like she's just going to write a strongly worded letter is kind of how she feels about it.
Yeah. She's pissed. Like he's getting 1 star in Yelp for his hospital. His hospital gets 1 star.
Yeah. I mean, she's not doing good. She's all covered in blood, but she's just like, more just seems pissed. She says, I want my 3rd test. Give me my 3rd test. I'm pure or whatever. So Sarge is getting ready for a crazy night in. We cut to Sarge in his little bathroom. All right. And this is really the scene that's going to really take the cake here. So Sarge is getting ready for just a cozy little night in. He's got a nice bathtub full of ice, a nice bottle of wine, nice glass with him. He is dry firing a 9mm into his own mouth.
This ruled because
he's like, I'm gonna have a nice ice bath, glass of wine, dry fire my 9mm in my mouth. I just, for some reason, he was John Arbuckle in that moment. I don't know why.
That's definitely a John Arbuckle Thursday. But the other thing he's doing is like he's pontificating again to the camera because the Trunchbull is filming him. And as he's pontificating, he's like, I'm tired of all these whores. And then he uses a gay slur. And he's like, I'm going to be free of all these, And then he follows that up by putting a gun clearly in his mouth in a very sexual way. Like he puts it deep in his mouth, and then he takes it out of his mouth and he goes, "Yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. That feels more comfortable." Because he dry fires it on the side of his head, and he doesn't like that
at first. Yeah,
he doesn't like that, but he does like it when it's deep in his mouth. He likes it that way.
He gives it the Gok Gok 5000, and he loves it.
Gives it the Gok Lock. Hey,
hey. He gets out of the ice bath. We get a great shot of Sarge's ass and balls. His big hanging ball sack. Great. Thank you so much. Just what I wanted.
Do you think he was hired just because he has the big ball bag?
Good God, he's got a sack on him. I have a feeling that when you see those like truck nuts hanging from like back of people's truck, it looked like they must have casted his nut sack. Like it's a monster nut sack. He's a big fucking guy, right?
Yeah.
But he's got a sack on. He got a set on him. I ain't never seen a sack. Never seen a set on a dog like. What's the quote? Never seen a dog with a pair like this, Clark. Anyway, so he's just like sitting there. He's like, honestly, I was getting so bored because then he comes right up to the screen. He's sitting there in it with a towel on, just fucking, like you said, pontificating, quoting Bible verses. Just like, what the fuck? I'm so bored at this point. For about, honestly, it feels like 5 minutes. And then he starts praying, and then he cuts his own dick off. He just really pretty abruptly cuts his own dick off, Steve. And so that's a little bit more fun. So I was like, oh my God, he's just like praying. It's so boring. Oh my God, wait, what? Oh, hey, whoa.
What you got a handful of there, bud? Uh-oh.
Cuts his own dick off, which again, really ups the fun level in the scene. He does decide to use a scalpel, which he does not do a particularly surgical approach here. The shears honestly would have been better. He should have used the shears right from the beginning because he does kind of do a scalpel situation, but then he's tugging on it. He does not make a clean work of it at all. There's a lot of strings and it's still tendons and some things attached, blood squirting everywhere. And then he just finally goes, give me the shears, and just does the rest of the job. Then he's got his little pecker in his hand. He puts it in the jar.
Well, that isn't his pecker, Brian. You need to go back to your anatomy.
Oh, okay. What happened? Those are his balls?
Those are his balls.
Okay, that makes even less sense because then when he is, because you can't really see, it just looks like a wad of meat, right? But I understand. Okay, it might be his balls, but when he then quote unquote sews himself up, he's doing this cartoonish pantomime of sewing.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you guys can't see obviously, but like in the chat, he's like this. It's that cartoonish of a sewing. It's like how you would do sewing if it came up on charades. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just below where the camera is. And like, that's not where your balls are. If you cut your balls off, you are going to be leaning down and bending over to sew anything. And he looks like he's sewing right below his belly button. Frankly, too high for his dick, let alone his balls.
Yeah.
So it's real dumb. But you know what? You get a person cutting his own dick off in an otherwise completely boring movie. Listen, I'm not, beggars can't be choosers here.
It also kind of makes sense for the character as if you follow.
It's the first thing he's done that makes sense.
Yeah, if you follow like the kind of preacher mentality or like religious zealot, like he's turning himself into a eunuch before he goes to heaven. I'm pretty sure that's like shit Heaven's Gate guys did as well. They also
sounds right.
Took their balls off. And so like, he makes an incision in his ball bag, takes his nasty sexual balls that have all the cum in them.
Your hangy ass giant cum balls.
Yeah. Your big cum balls that make you do all the evil things that you do. And he takes them and then, he takes the shears to like the spermatic duct, which is all the stringy stuff that you see. So like they have decent anatomy to it. And then I guess he sews the seam back in his ball bag. And then, he still needs his dick for peeing, I guess. So he doesn't cut that off. Yeah. Even though he, completely removed everything on the women. And like, apparently he sewed them up enough so that they still have a hole to pee out of.
Right.
He
didn't do himself that, or maybe he did do himself that same favor. But I just want to interject and say that at this point in the movie, I was sitting on my couch and I was eating a string cheese.
Hell yeah.
While I was watching this, and it ruined it for me.
Yeah, I bet it would.
Completely ruined the string cheese for me. True story.
I was eating pierogies.
That's also a bad. We were eating two of the worst foods for watching that scene.
Yes.
Something about a pierogi is like a little nut sack. Yeah.
Yeah. Little pouches full of goodness. And
I was eating a little stringy dick with, with all the stringiness coming off of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I still powered through, though. I'm not going to let that movie fuck my pierogies up. Go to hell, movie.
No. I sat there and ate the whole thing. So, again, we're spiraling towards the finish here. Sarge kind of evangelizes at Amelia for a while, offers her the whole, like, gives her the deal. This is her third trial, the money, just like the other girl. She basically says, like, no, she just argues semantics with him for a minute, which really confuses him and makes him mad. She's like, I want to do both. I'm saved, but I want the money too. I reject your premise, sir. And he's like, what? Huh? What? Wait, what? How? Why?
This is the best. She's already seen how the game works. She knows how to beat the game. Yeah. And she can just leave and go see her daughter. But she says, as the irresponsible character that we know her, she takes a gamble on a third option that she isn't going to get, like, she's gambling because she's hoping she doesn't get shot with this. She knows what the answer is, but no, I'm going to do a third option and I'm going to fuck with him. Yeah.
And honestly, works pretty well. Yeah. He had not thought this through very far. Amelia takes, she like fakes passing out. And then when he comes up to like talk to her close up, she stabs him with, is it a piece of the chair? What is it? She stabs him with something right in the gut.
I think it was a piece of the chair, or it might have been that glass knife that she had from earlier. But I think it was a piece.
Or she like, yeah, because there's like a pull, but it's almost like she might have like attached the glass to it in some way. I don't know. Yeah. But she's got a pokey poke and she stabs him. And then takes his gun, shoots the Trunchbull, and then shoots Rooker in the dick. Shoots him right in the dick, but not before he kind of like chokes on his toothpick. It's a weird scene. It's a weird decision because his thing, he's got a toothpick and he keeps like folding it over in his mouth, like putting the whole thing horizontally in his mouth and like flipping it over, and it like gets stuck like vertically in his mouth, the toothpick, but he acts like he's choking on it, but it's not in his throat. It's a very confusing scene. And then she shoots him in the dick.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
And then shoots the camera lady, which apparently was just like another person. Because at this point, they're like, well, if she shoots Trunchbull, man, who's going to have the camera? Oh, it's that other lady that works here and helps him.
It was the lady from before who was at the door and said, yeah, make sure you leave the door open so she can get out for her trial.
Yeah, she was there just because they needed one other person to hold a camera.
Yep.
Then they cut to Amelia on the beach playing with her kid. She made it out, I guess. Or maybe that was from before. We don't know. But then we get these big text, not scrolls, but just text on screen that says Amelia escaped with the money, tipped off the FBI about the hospital, and then explains that Sarge was an OBGYN that I guess escaped from this scenario. He didn't kill her, or he didn't kill him. She didn't kill him. And he's mutilated a ton of women, and he's going to do it again, they think, apparently.
Yeah.
And then it ends with him.
They said he mutilated something like 300 women before he started, before he started this endeavor of the whole trials and everything. And I was like, that's not how that works. Usually, if you screw up, if you screw up a couple times, your license comes up for review and they don't hire you ever again as a doctor.
Nope. 300 you got away with. That's the limit. Anything above 300, you get your license revoked. But that happened, and then they're like, and he escaped, so he's probably going to do it again. And then they have him, ends with him, has this woman in a chair, and he's kind of terrorizing her, like she's like, I don't know if she's tied down or she's like half under sedation or something, but he's just like saying fucked up stuff to her. And then he like mean mugs at the camera, and it's just like, give me a fucking break. And then there's this post-credit sequence with this 2 FBI guys. One of them is our buddy. What's his name in your song, Craig?
Cliff.
Cliff. That's right.
Cliff.
And he's the 2 FBI guys, and they're talking about how Amelia like mailed in the tapes, but then there's a tape that shows Amelia killing the bad guys. So they are like, well, we'll just lose that tape. What tape are you talking about? I don't know any tape. And it's like, who fucking cares? She already escaped.
Yeah, who cares? It was self-defense. It's not a tape you have to lose. She was escaping torture and somebody who had victimized hundreds of people. I don't think you're going to get prosecuted for that. Plus, she already escaped. It's not like you got her in a cell next door. Right. Yeah.
So you
you also have the other people on camera doing terrible things as well. So she killed a whole bunch of people she should, that you guys probably would have.
It is the dumbest logic. It makes no sense to make it a point to add it post credit because it really needed explained. Just goes to show that this movie, this Kennedy guy, has he's done a bad job. He's done a bad job making the movie, writing the movie. He's done a bad job. And that's it. That is Penance from 2009. A real piece of dog shit, but for me, worth the watch because I'm sitting there eating string cheese, like minding my own business. And then a guy cuts his own dick off. And if you say to me, hey, this movie, it's terrible, but something wild happens that you're not going to expect, I'll probably sit down and watch it. And if I do, and I see that, I'm not going to be that disappointed. It was only about an hour and 20 minutes. Fine. I spent an hour and 20 minutes doing way dumber stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you fuck around on your phone a little bit. You look up, you go, oh, that guy's dick's off. That's wild.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's like boring, boring, boring. Caged Heat ripoff. Boring, boring, boring. Graved Encounters ripoff.
Yeah. What? We got a dick slice, so I'm here. I'm here for it, guys.
Can I point out another piece of just how fucking dumb this movie is?
Yes, sir.
So the whole time, Amelia is there under false pretenses. They think she's sassy, and they keep calling her sassy, and she keeps saying, I'm not sassy. My name's Amelia. I have a daughter, blah, blah, blah. At some point, Sarge, the doctor, the butcher, whatever you want to call him, brings up her daughter to her and says, like, you'll never see your daughter again. So now he's aware that she has a daughter. Like, how is he not aware that that's not sassy?
I think, and I think they do earlier on, Sassy says that she has a daughter too.
Oh,
I think they do cover that base because I did think about that. And then I was like, because I think I said something very similar, and Kate was like, I think she said she has a daughter too. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I think I brought that same thing up. But that could easily have gone in that direction too.
Yeah.
I think that is the exact type of thing, that continuity that they would have fucked up. Anyway, guys, if you feel so inclined to watch it, it is free on the Tubies. I wouldn't suggest it. But if you want to see that, because we spoiled the only surprise, but if you want to see that guy cut his dick off, I say watch it.
If you're into dicks getting cut off, if you just want to see his big ball bag and conjecture whether or not it's real or not.
Yeah, if you're just in the mood for some big old hanging ass nuts, you can go watch that part too. All right. One more time, guys. Go check out the movies this week that are going to be part of our August Blood Beach Showdown episode. We're going to watch The Sand / Blood Sand from 2015. That's our Patreon subscribers pick for the Showdown episode. Then your boy's going to be presenting Dead and Buried from 1981. And Steven is going to talk about Club Dread from 2004. So go check those out. Watch them this week. And you know what? While you're at it, go to patreon.com/Halloween is Forever. Subscribe so you can sit and watch us talk about them live in the chat on the Discord with us, along with some of our other Patreon friends. And you can tell us how much you love them or hated them, and cheer us on or heckle us or whatever as we go, and tune in and chime in as we go. So, okay. Anything else, Steve? Anything else we need to talk about Penance 2009? Any of that nonsense?
Nope.
Oh, Dan said Fast and the Furious 1 is free on Tubi now as well. That's big news, guys. If you want to go down the whole rabbit hole of Fast and the Furious with us, I'd say don't. Subscribe to the Patreon podcast and listen to it. Don't watch the movies. But if you feel so inclined, apparently the first one is live on the Tubi.
I mean, I would say turn the movie on without sound, and then just put our podcast on.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like that. It'd make it infinitely more tolerable. All right, guys, for the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
I'm a kitty cat. Meow.
I'm going to cut my dick off. Bye.